Well, they put bigger chunks of meat on their hooks and threw it right overboard to catch some alligator for supper. Because the Cajuns just soon have alligator for supper anyway.
Here they come.
Now, folks want to know what alligators eat. Well, here at the Alligator Park, we feed our alligators third graders. So if any of you have any third graders with you, just leave them at the front desk on your way out. We can always use the extra gator bait. Actually, alligators are carnivores. They'll eat any kind of meat, snakes or fish or birds, anything in the water or anything that gets close to the water's edge. It can be big as a deer, small as a raccoon, or anything and everything in between, depending, of course, on the size of the alligator. Here at the Alligator Park, we feed our alligators chicken. Now watch how they jump up out of the water. Alligators have very sharp teeth, but their teeth are not designed for chewing. Alligators can't chew their food at all. Alligators have to swallow all of their food whole. The Native Americans that used to live in that part of the country hundreds of years ago worshipped, honored, and hunted alligators. They often used alligator teeth and claws to make necklaces and would wear those necklaces out to battle or wear them out hunting because they believed as long as they wore the necklace, they would have the courage and the strength of the alligator.
Not very coordinated, is it?
Way down in South Louisiana, there's a little town called Grand Lake. It's a small town by today's standards, but hundreds of years ago, it was the home to some very large Native American tribes. These tribes were mound builders. Indian mounds are fairly common in Louisiana, but the mound at Grand Lake is quite unique. It is shaped like an 800-foot-long alligator. It was used for ceremonies and is still open for the public to see. The American alligator can live as far north as southern Arkansas, as far east as North and South Carolina, as far west as eastern Texas, and in the south, if the state opens onto the Gulf of Mexico, there will be populations of alligators in that state, with more alligators in the state of Florida and Louisiana than any other states in the nation. Wildlife experts estimate that there can be as many as 2.4 million wild alligators in our state. Can you imagine that? That's roughly the population of Houston, Texas. Let's face it, folks, we have alligators in every pond, lake, river, stream, and bayou in the state. I've even seen alligators in some of our bigger potholes. So we have to get used to alligators in Louisiana. So here's some tips for living with these alligators. This is in case you're visiting in one of our lakes or rivers in our state and happen to run across an alligator. Tip number 1. Whatever you do, don't ever feed an alligator. If you're picnicking on one of our lakes or rivers and you see an alligator, don't leave food out for him. Alligators can take care of themselves, and they very quickly learn to associate humans with food. That means if there are ever people around, they'll expect to be fed. And if they don't get fed when they think they ought to get fed, you'll end up with what we call a nuisance alligator. They just won't leave people alone. There was a lady who lived just north of here in the little town of Powhatan. They had a large pond in their backyard. One summer, an alligator took up residence in the pond. Well, the family thought it was pretty cool. Every time the grandkids came over or the neighbors came over, they fed the alligator. Well, it got to the point that every time the back door slammed, here came the alligator up out of the water ready for something to eat. One morning, the lady started to go out on her back porch and discovered that she couldn't open the back door. Yeah, the alligator was on the back porch. He climbed up 5 steps and was just laying out there sunning himself. I guess he decided to go where the food was rather than the food come to him. Well, they had to call the Louisiana Department of Wildlife and Fisheries to come get the alligator, but because the alligator had lost his fear of humans,